Welcome to Matt and Nick's amateur physics lesson. I'm Matt.
And I'm Nick. Before we get into the weeds showing you how to make some of the coolest paper airplanes ever, we wanted to introduce ourselves. Matt, would you like to start?
I'd sure love to. Hi everyone, I'm Matthew, but you can call me Matt. I grew up in Baltimore and went to school for accounting. Before Lyft, I worked at Ernst & Young as an auditor and Bose as a home theater salesman. I knew I wanted to be a pilot from a young age, but it took me longer than I'd like to work up the courage to become a pilot. I decided to come to Lyft because of the incredible atmosphere, team spirit, and super sweet airplanes. I have 500 hours total in Cessna 172s and Diamond DA-40s. In my free time, I like to ride my bike and cook. Nick, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Matt, I thought you'd never ask. I'm Nick. I grew up in New Hampshire, played a lot of sports, but focused most of my energy on the sport of ski jumping. That's right. Before Lyft, I was a professional ski jumper, and after I retired from ski jumping, I made the transition to my other passion, aviation. I knew I wanted to be a pilot when I took my first trip on an airliner at the age of 16 years old. I decided to come to Lyft after researching the program, discovering that Lyft was a great fit to achieve my goals. Outside of Lyft and training to become a pilot, I study some more, and lift occasionally.
Wow, you sure are an interesting guy. I do know one thing about you, though. You love physics, specifically aerodynamics. The aerodynamics of planes and the forces of flight are really important, and I love them too, and that's why we're gathered here today.
We also wanted to give a quick shout out to the OG of paper airplanes, the paper airplane guy, John Collins. Sorry, not you, but when it comes to building the coolest paper airplanes, he definitely is your guy. He invented Suzanne style of paper airplane, which is one of 3 we will be working on together today.
John M. Collins really does have a very interesting background, Nick. He holds the distance record for a paper airplane throw at 226 feet. Have you ever jumped that on skis? Who knows? He had his friend, quarterback Joe Ayub, throw the plane he constructed in February of 2012.
Gee, I wish I had a friend that was a football player.
Yeah, I play football. Never mind.
John has really inspired a new generation of people interested in flying and building paper airplanes. He's always been intrigued by things that fly and also feel that paper airplanes are a great way into aerodynamics and the bounds of gravity.
As far as the science and preparation behind the throw is concerned, everything matters. The paper, the folding technique, the tightness of the fold, the plane's aerodynamics, and someone's throwing technique. Air density and humidity are big factors as well.
They sure are. While we're here today, we hope to show you how to create a few of our favorite paper airplanes and how to make them even better with a few modifications. And we know that after you master how to build these 3 airplanes, you will be the best at making airplanes of anybody you know.
So let's get started. Today, you will need paper, crayons, scissors.
Careful with those.
Tape, a stapler, and tape. Oh, and paper clips. We'll show you how to build the Hammer, the Harrier, and the Suzanne.
Watching a common and dull piece of stationery turn into a magical entity that defies gravity is a thing of wonder and awe if done correctly.
The most successful paper airplanes have a large portion of the whole plane's weight in the nose. Add paper clips, staples, tape, or weights, and you adjust the weight and balance. If you don't have any of these on hand, you can just fold in the very tip of the nose. This technique also helps with crashes. This tip comes directly from aircraft stability and control theory. We will test a paperclip versus a staple and regular tape versus duct tape. Let's talk about the 4 forces of flight that may affect a paper airplane while it's in flight.
Sure.
So if we take a look at an airplane right here, There are 4 forces of flight, and those are
Lift, weight, thrust, and drag.
lift, weight, thrust, and drag. So if we're talking about lift first, lift is generated by the wings. Air flows over the top. It creates a low pressure area on the top of the wing, and it actually sucks the airplane up into the air. What about thrust?
So thrust is generated by the engines or the propeller of the aircraft, and it acts the opposite direction that the airplane is headed. If you have enough thrust, you can overcome the drag of the airplane, and the airplane will accelerate forward.
Nice. So the faster it moves forward, the more lift that the wings are able to create.
Right, you are, Bob.
The opposite of thrust is drag. So drag is created as a direct result of the creation of lift. The airplanes create lift, and the way that the air moves over those wings actually creates drag. Additionally, the way that the airplane is designed, the fact that it moves through the air at all, creates drag.
Well, that sounds complicated, Matt.
Nah, it's not that complicated. And that's why we have aerodynamics engineers. We call those aerospace engineers.
Well, I like to call them wizards, but yes. The next and final force that we need to worry about is weight. Weight is the force that acts directly downward by gravity. When you have enough lift, you oppose weight, and that's how the airplane flies.
Exactly. And when the airplane is in straight and level flight, we can say that that airplane is in
Equilibrium.
So lift equals
Weight.
weight, and thrust equals
Drag.
Therefore, those 4 forces are in equilibrium, and the airplane is able to maintain flight. Because you know what they say, what goes up?
Must come down.
So when an airplane takes off, it has to be able to land. It does this by slowing down, increasing drag, maybe increasing thrust at the right amount of time. It puts those wheels down and greases the landing in. So what happens is the wheels come out of the bottom. And the pilot makes every effort to put those wheels on the ground before anything else touches it.
It's a good idea, Matt.
Once that's happened, we could say that the landing has been made and everyone can go home safe.
Should we clap on landing?
It's highly recommended that you don't clap. And the reason why I say that is simply because the pilots are in the front with the door shut. They can't hear you.
So clap louder.
Clap louder, or make sure that as you're walking by the pilots, once you're disembarking that aircraft, then clap. By yourself and in a line.
To throw your world record airplane, hold it where the most layers meet at the thickest part, keep the wings level, strive for smooth acceleration.
Get the plane flying straight, and then work it up to a fast throw. For turns at regular gliding speeds, you'll adjust the trailing edge of the plane normally. See the flight stuff below for tips on adjusting your plane's control surfaces.
But keep in mind that the faster this plane flies, the closer to the nose your adjustments will be made. At our highest throwing speeds, if the plane veered right on launch, I would bend the leading edge on the left down a little bit at the nose.
That makes sense. I think one of the most important things to understand with paper airplanes, besides getting the best type of throw, is just to have fun.
Exactly. If you're not throwing airplanes and having fun,
You're doing something wrong!
the plane goes right, bend the left side of the tail up and the right side down.
If the plane goes left, bend the right side up and the left side down.
If the plane goes down, bend both sides up.
And if the plane stalls, or it goes like this and then drops, bend both sides of the wings down towards level.
If it's still stalling, reconsider the design or add weight to the nose.
Try experimenting with tails. A tail is just a longer piece of paper, about as long as the plane, with a halfway cut end, and with those ends creased.
Try to always keep the nose of a plane from crumpling in a crash by adding spaghetti noodles that run from the nose to the tail. These can keep the plane together and serve as a ballast tool. If the spaghetti is not on hand, make a blunt nose by folding the tip of the nose in towards the rear of the plane before creating wings.
Warning! Do not throw a paper airplane at a person or a pet.
Paper airplanes are generally pointy and could damage an eyeball.
Or a pet. So first we're going to fold a triangle down right to the edge and make a pointy end.
Next, make an identical fold in the opposite direction.
Unfold it so we have these two beautiful creases.
Next, we're going to take this corner here and fold it down to the line we just made from the previous fold, making sure that everything's lined up tightly and fold.
Then do the same thing to the other side.
Next, take the airplane and fold it in half with the folded sides inward.
All right, then we're going to unfold it, and we're going to take the flat, narrow end and fold it all the way down to the flat, wide end.
Next, we're going to take our edges and fold the wings to the inner crease of the airplane on both sides.
Make sure those creases are tight.
Be sure when completing this step that your outside edges fold and meet in the middle.
We're going to unfold those previous folds, and then take our narrow flat end and fold it up.
Next step in the process of making the greatest airplane in the world, take our
We'll
outside yeah, we'll see. We'll take our outside edges and we'll line it up with that previous fold that we just made. Make sure you keep everything tight and repeat on the other side.
And in the same direction, taking these tabs and fold them over so that the crease lines up with this line. We'll do that on both sides, folding tightly.
After we've made those two folds, we'll go ahead and we'll fold the top end down until the edges meet our top edge here. Make sure to fold tightly.
We're going to take the hammer and we're going to fold it in half along the crease that's already been made with all of the folds on the outside.
I'm having an issue here, Matt.
What?
I can't find my hammer.
It's right there.
Oh, that hammer.
Yeah.
Next, we're going to take the top of the wing and fold it to the bottom of the fuselage. And repeat on the other side.
Wow, we're really just hammering this out.
You could say that. Time to roll up those sleeves.
First, we're going to take and make a diagonal fold like so. We're going to unfold and do the same on the other side.
Next, we're going to take that top corner and fold it down to our previous fold line, making sure that everything lines up correctly.
So we're going to imagine a line between this point, and we're going to fold the short, flat area down to that line. We're going to take our airplane and we're going to fold it in half so that we have a crease down the center. Then we'll unfold it.
Now I'm going to take that top edge and fold it to the middle of the previously made line for both sides.
So then we're going to take our Suzanne and fold it in half.
Final step in this process is to fold the wings. So we're going to take the piece of paper, we're going to fold down until we get a nice size looking wing there, and then flip the airplane and fold down to meet that top edge.
To make sure that the fold of the wing comes down beyond the crease that we've made.
This next airplane we're going to make is called the Harrier. The first step in this process is to take your paper, which is not yet an airplane, and fold it in half.
Lengthwise. Next, we're going to take the top corners here and fold them down so that the fold matches the center line.
Question, Matt. How do I know which side is the top and which side is the bottom? They both look pretty similar to me.
You could probably just improvise.
The next step is to take the paper and form it into an envelope shape.
We're going to point the pointy end down. We're going to take these two top corners here and we're going to fold them into the center line once again. Both sides, and it'll leave a triangle on the bottom.
Next, we're going to take the small triangle and fold it up and over paper.
Next, we're going to take it and we're going to fold the airplane in half with the triangle up outside on the outside.
The next and final step in the process is to take and we're going to form our wings by folding this top edge down to the fuselage of the aircraft.